I believe martial arts is my life. My life is martial arts. So that's why I would never accept a 10th degree from anybody.
And why is that you refused it?
Because if martial arts is your life, when do you stop learning? When you're dead.
Wow.
I'll take it when I'm dead.
What's up, guys? Today's guest is the president of the American Karate Association and the owner of Sharkey's Karate Studio. Please welcome to the JAMCast, Sensei Sharkey.
Thank you, Travis.
Hey, sir. Welcome. Thank you so much for making this happen.
It's been a while.
It has been.
A while coming. All the boys are always like, when are you going to do that? I'm like, I don't know.
We've had so many of your students on here, which I'm sure we'll talk to at some point. But what brought you out to California all the way from over in Illinois?
Well, this time was compete.
Okay.
I always come out for a compete, and then I stay because it's always on my birthday weekend.
Ah.
And then I get around and see all the guys.
Amazing, amazing. And so I know you mentioned that you're actually going to go to a wedding for one of your students this weekend?
Yeah, Seth is getting married on Sunday.
Wow.
So I'll go out there, do that, and then head back to Illinois.
Crazy. I'm sure more than anyone, you've seen so many of these guys go through so many stages of their lives, from being kids to competitors to stuntmen and now family men. So.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, it's actually incredible to watch them grow. You know, most of them I sort of either get or they come to be with Sharkey's Karate and the team at about 14. So There's a lot of growing in between there and now.
So cool. And now there's so much I want to cover about your own personal history within the martial arts and all you've contributed. But I do want to talk about, I think you guys most recently relocated studios after a bunch of years. Is that correct? You have a newer building now?
Yeah, it's actually been about 5 years.
Wow, no way.
But,
okay.
Yeah, it wasn't during the pandemic or anything. So
right before it.
That was a hard time.
And are you guys still in Naperville or where are you guys located?
Yeah, we're in Naperville.
Okay.
Yeah.
That's amazing. And how long had it been at your previous location? Because if I'm correct, you first started schools back in the 70s?
Yeah. At the one before this, I was there for 13 years.
Okay.
And then 13 years before that was another location in Naperville. So
wow.
Yeah, now I'm pretty settled in where I'm going. Okay. Getting a little older. I'm not into the moving around too much now.
I do know that a lot of the new kids were very excited, though. You have like a spring floor at the new one. I know you had a one before on the side from a previous tournament, but a lot of them have been very stoked on the new one.
Yeah, the entire floor now is a spring floor.
Wow. And what is it covered? Is it like a tatami style mat, or what kind of mat do you guys have over the top of it?
No, it's plywood.
Okay.
And then we put, I have swain mats.
Oh, that's what it is. It's a swain mat. Okay. Yeah, it looks very different than like the carpet floor that we have here. That's why I was curious.
Right. I had the carpet floor, but then during the pandemic, I wanted to switch it out so we could clean it.
Yeah, it makes sense.
So, just to be real sanitized and as much as I could do for it.
Totally. Now, I have to ask you a question. Have you seen an influx in any students since the rise of Cobra Kai show on Netflix at all? Have you seen like a reinvigoration in karate and kids trying to take classes?
Oh, yeah, for sure. As soon as it comes out, then we start getting calls and intros. And I mean, they were just telling me, Steven's running the school, Steven Bratton.
Yes.
And he's pegged to sort of take over once I'm done.
Okay.
And it won't be retiring, but I'll be done.
It's a good term for it.
But he was telling me last night, we have 25 intros this week.
Wow.
Which, we do a big Cobra Kai thing because a lot of the boys were in it.
Yeah.
So the students get to see them. And the influx of students from Cobra Kai has been amazing.
That's insane. And so I have to ask, like so many world champions have come out of your studio. What actually got you to Naperville? Is that where you're from originally? Or what made you settle there and open the first school there?
No, there was an instructor that had to leave.
Okay. And
he was leaving a good sized school and a team and everything. So I went into Naperville as president of the AKA to sort of help out because it was an AKA school. And then we started, I worked with their team in their basement, in their backyard, all that stuff. And, I literally told them, I'm going to give you 6 months. We need to find an instructor.
And who was that, and who did the instructor become? Was that you?
Yeah. So now, that was in 1986, so I'm still there.
Oh, my goodness. That's amazing.
It's been a pleasure. I mean, a lot of the kids that I have now, never seen, never met.
Yeah.
Never had the opportunity to work with had I not stayed in Naperville.
Yeah.
So it's been good up there.
That's amazing.
I'm from a really small town.
I was going to ask, where are you originally from?
I'm from about an hour and a half south.
Okay.
So, and the rent there is like $250 a month.
For a whole place.
For the whole place, I mean, a big place too.
No way.
But then going into Naperville and spending $3,500 and $5,000 a month rent, I'm like, this is not my scene.
This is crazy.
So you got 6 months.
Wow. Well, you stuck for good reason. So obviously you just mentioned that's where you're from. How did your martial arts journey start? When did you first get introduced to the martial arts yourself?
In 1965, we had the World Championships. My dad was a promoter. He promoted a lot of things. He did drum corps. He did events and things like that. So he hooked up with a guy that worked with him that was an instructor.
Okay.
So then he was a student of John Keehan, Count Dante, from Chicago. So Keehan wanted to have a world championship. So we had the third world championship on a football field in Moments, a little town with 2,500 people in it.
Okay.
We had people from like 9 different countries and fly in. And that was my first real introduction to martial arts, as I was like 9 years old.
Okay.
So that's in 65.
And what style did you start with?
At the time was Goju Shirai.
Okay.
Yeah, which is sort of in Chicago, Trias and Keehan were together.
Okay.
And then they split. So if you went with the Trias side, you were Shirai Goju. If you went with the Keehan side, you were Goju Shirai.
Okay. And so how long did you, back then you're obviously a young kid, did you start training every single day, or were you just doing kind of like recreational classes, a couple days a week?
No, we were, back then you went in and you shared a school with judo.
Oh.
Judo, which was popular because of the Olympics and they've been around. So in the Y, they had a judo club. So my instructor and all them, they were in that Y. So I almost didn't start. Just judo mat, the old white canvas.
Yeah.
Blood on it, spit on it, dirt on it. And I had to take my shoes off. And I'm like, nah, I don't know about this.
That's so funny. Now, I see why you're into the Swain mats, to keep them clean now. That makes sense.
Yeah, no, that was a real turning point for me.
That's funny.
And it was difficult. They didn't want kids there.
Yeah.
I got in there because my dad worked with the instructor.
Oh, okay.
So and they were good friends. So we'll try them out.
Okay.
Because if you weren't 16 or 18, you didn't get into martial arts.
Yeah, yeah.
Unless you were the son of one of the instructors or something like that.
And so I only ask this because my parents speak about it all the time, how the training back in their generation was so much more difficult and, for lack of a better word, brutal. They said, they always joke you could get away with a lot of things now you would get sued for. Yeah. So what was your training like? Was it the same?
I had to put up with the instructors not wanting me there, some of them. And they would stand over me and sweat on me and hold me down into a horse stance and, just try to get me to quit. And I was determined I was not quitting.
Oh, man.
I saw a little guy in the World Championship, John Tai, which I came to know afterwards, and actually just a few years ago.
Oh, wow.
That I'm like, this little skinny guy can do it. I can do it. So, and then we became very good friends in his last years.
Amazing.
In fact, I was with him when he died. So, yeah.
And did you do any other sports while you were growing up as an adolescent? Or?
Yeah, I did baseball. I did football. Tried basketball. I was terrible at basketball. I played basketball like I played football, so it didn't work.
Amazing.
Yeah.
And so how old were you then when you actually got your first black belt level?
18.
Wow, so 9 years of training.
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Yeah. And was your black belt test, my dad just tells stories of how intense his was. Was yours anything unique back then, or was it just a single-day test?
No, it was a whole weekend test. But
okay.
It was brutal. I actually tested with the very first AKA testing board.
Okay.
I had Tadashi Yamashita on there and Ken Knutson.
Yeah.
My instructor at the time was Flem Evans.
Okay.
So they were all on there. And a whole line of different people that I don't remember.
Wow, those are names that probably a lot of people nowadays have no idea about.
Yeah, right.
It's kind of sad to think about. I was lucky because my parents, I was raised around Tadashi, also like Fumio Demura back in the days, and a lot of legends.
He's a good guy.
Yeah, super cool guys. And so obviously I know that over the course of your career, if I'm not mistaken, I think you have both a 5th degree and a 9th degree. Is that correct?
Yeah, I studied Shotokan.
Okay.
Yeah, and I only took Shotokan because I wanted it. I knew it was a peer system.
Okay.
Pretty much anywhere you go, Shotokan looks like Shotokan. Whereas a lot of the other systems, including our charade system, it's sort of the idea of the person teaching it. So, but I wanted it for myself.
Okay.
I very seldom teach any of the kids charade, or Goju.
Okay. Yeah, I was curious what style.
Shotokan. I'm sorry.
Yeah, what style do you teach at Sharkey's Karate nowadays?
Charade.
Okay.
Yeah.
Amazing. Okay. And so with that being said, of all the things that you've done over the course of your career, how did you get to where you are now currently with AKA, with the American Karate Association? I know you currently act as the president, but you said back then you were just testing as one of the first, members under their board. So how did you work your way?
That was in 73.
Okay.
And then around 77, Ken Newton wanted to move on. He was the president. Ernie Lee was the president before him and the founder, and that was in 1964. And then Ken wanted to move on, so he sort of handpicked. We had to have an election and everything, but he sort of handpicked me to take over, which is cool because I was studying with Flem Evans, who was part of Ken Newton's team, and he ran a school. So I was right there. I got to get in on all their workouts, and they were some pretty heavy hitters. Yeah. I wasn't on that caliber, but I enjoyed the workouts.
Okay. And so during the course of your career, did you ever get into competition yourself, or did you just do it more so as a practitioner?
No, I competed. We probably started competing because there just wasn't tournaments.
Yeah.
I don't know, probably in 68 or something. In fact, my first tournament that I went to was the AKA Nationals in Muskegon, Michigan.
Wow.
Just happenstance, And so, yeah, I did my share of competing. And then I stopped competing around 74.
Okay.
Yeah.
And at that point, is that when you started instructing yourself?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I was teaching it. My first instructor was Burley Wagner, and I was teaching for him at the school. I was a part of that school.
Okay.
And then I opened my own school, and then I never really liked competing. I did it for the school.
Of course.
Because I was the only one that competed for the school. But then I wanted to focus more on my students and not worry about me. It wasn't an ego thing. And I didn't care about the trophies. I didn't care about the winning. It gave me more pleasure to see my students do well.
Wow, that's a super unique perspective, because I find that there's not a lot of people nowadays that are so committed to teaching, if that makes sense. A lot more enjoy doing the flashy tricks. They enjoy the accolades of winning and then getting these titles under their belt. So for you to commit to teaching at a young age is pretty impressive.
And it never meant anything to me. I mean, even winning, okay, that was cool. I did it for the school. Burley was proud, and I was nervous every time I went.
That's amazing. And so obviously with AKA and everything you have going on, from everyone knows about the camps that you have, but there also is the Warrior Cup. How did that come about? Was that something that you were instrumental in starting, or was it already in existence when you took over?
No, the AKA Warrior Cup was the AKA Grand Nationals.
Okay.
Which started in 1964 with Ernie Lieb.
Okay.
So once I became president, I inherited it. So, which was sort of weird because they had the election the night before.
Oh.
And then I came down the next morning for the tournament, and Kenny wasn't there. I think he came to Vegas to do some full contact fights.
Okay.
And they're like, "Well, you're the president. It's your turn." I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" I was 21. I'd never run a tournament before.
Wow.
I'm like, I don't know what the hell I'm doing.
Yeah.
But my big thing was to surround myself, with people that did know.
Yeah.
And I try to hold that true even today. There's everybody out there. Somebody knows more than you do.
Yeah.
So if you can surround yourself with people that know things and trust them, and you got it made.
Wow, that's amazing. And for those who don't know what we're talking about in regards to AKA, can you just kind of sum up what the association actually does and what its involvement is with studios across the country?
Yeah, we're a certifying organization. We're not an organization goes out and helps with signing up students or any of the business part. We just try to keep true what the rank is.
Okay.
And we investigate. We turn down as many as we let in per year.
Wow.
Yeah, I have Sue Vonarovich, Sue Cunningham, her name is now, but and she really monitors that and keeps up on all the certificates, making sure everybody's true to the martial arts.
Wow. Is there an estimate of how many schools there are currently under the AKA umbrella?
There's about 150.
Wow.
Yeah.
Super cool.
And it's not a competition organization.
Yes.
It's not what it is. It's a certifying organization. We do have tournaments, but if we didn't have tournaments, the AKA would still be there.
Amazing. And now off the back end of that, I know one thing that does get a lot of recognition, especially within the NASCA scene, is Team AKA and the competition team that you have. When did that team actually start? Do you remember when its first was formulated?
No, I don't, but I remember how it was formulated.
How was it formulated?
I think Craig was probably about 14, Craig Henningsen.
Craig Henningsen.
And him and Brewster were at the school, going out, competing, blah, blah, blah. And there was some teams starting to pop up, and they're like, Sensei, can't we have a team? I'm like, okay. So I thought about it. I really wasn't into it. It wasn't that big a deal.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay, if we're going to have a team, then the AKA is going to get something out of it. So we're going to put AKA on your back. And it was Team AKA.
Wow.
So that was Chris Brewster and Craig Henningsen that really pushed for Team AKA.
That's really cool. It's amazing to see how many people have gone through the ranks of the team now. And they're people that I know that I even work with now as fellow stuntmen and colleagues of mine. So that's really, really amazing. And so with Team AKA, how do you guys select people to be on the team?
Actually, I guess it's a weird system the way we do it. Everybody has to personally ask me.
Oh, okay.
And then we have a application they fill out. And then it takes about a year to get on the team.
Okay.
You know, then you have to gel with the rest of them. We have to know that you're a good person. You know, mainly come to camps just so you can socialize with everybody and see if you fit in.
Okay.
And not everybody does.
Yeah.
Some people just want AKA on their back, and we don't want those. You know, and I take that back. I have asked Gabrielle's grandmother to be on the team. And that was the only person I ever asked to be on the team. And
Wow.
Everybody else has to ask because I don't go after champions.
Yeah.
You know, we like to develop champions, not really buy them.
Wow, that's a cool perspective. That makes a lot of sense, though, because there are a lot of teams out there that, like you said, you know, for lack of a better term, they're just vying for whoever has the most wins under their belt.
Yeah.
So it's almost like an easy representation for them to get titles onto their teams.
Yeah, and I'd rather see them grow. You know, I like the 5th place person, the 8th place person.
Yeah.
And then we can make a plan for them to grow in their martial arts, to grow in their competition.
Amazing. And so, like, over the course of your career, you know, you just mentioned 2 guys right there, Chris Brewster and Craig Henningsen. You've had a numerous amount of world champions that have come out from your studio. What do you credit that to? Were they all kids that actually grew up in the area, or did you have kids that actually eventually moved there just to train under you and study?
We've had both. You know, I mean, probably 90% of them actually started at the school.
Okay.
No, Craig started at the school, I think, when he was 5.
Wow.
You know, Mary Amato, she started when she was 4.
Wow.
So, so they all started at the school. But we do have an influx of what I call implants. So.
And now I know one of them that was a super unique situation was Micah Carnes. I know Micah got dropped off at the studio at a younger age, and he eventually almost, like, for lack of a better term, you know, lived with you, and you were able to help raise him not only, you know, in life but also in competition.
He did. I have several of those that I actually helped grow. I don't know if you want to call them raise them, but they lived with me, and you know, just for different reasons, which is all their story to tell, not mine.
Totally.
You know.
Wow, that's amazing. And so when they're doing that, obviously they're living with you and also learning from you. Do you ever feel that almost like, you know, I had it growing up where my parents were my coaches also. Does it ever get like tension filled at the house where they're not able to, you know, compartmentalize between you being the coach when you're at the studio and then when you go back home?
I haven't actually noticed that.
Okay.
Yeah, I haven't actually noticed that. I mean, if you go back home and you don't talk about their martial arts,
Yeah.
because home is home.
Yeah.
That's all more personal stuff. The dojo is for your martial arts, but you know, I mean, of course, I mean, especially Micah. Micah trained like till 2 o'clock in the morning.
Wow.
And he would be like, you know, Sensei, I got this new move. Can you look? I'm like, Micah, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, dude. But I would get up and I'd go watch him do his move, and but he was a maniac training.
That's amazing to hear. That's so cool. And so, like, over the course of your career, I know one other thing that's super unique is in helping all of these young men grow up to become adults. A lot of them have the goal of eventually moving out to Los Angeles and becoming stunt members and following in the footsteps of other AKA members. I know one thing that you do that's unique is you actually make the drive with them out to Los Angeles to help move them out here.
Yeah, those are possible. It's become a thing now. Sensei, will you drive me to Los Angeles? But I just started doing that with Mike Chat.
Wow.
And drove him out so he could do college, and then of course he got into the Power Rangers.
Yep.
And he was the first one that I actually drove out.
Wow, that is wild. And so when you do these trips, how long does it take you to make the drive generally?
Well, normally I can do it in 26 to 28 hours.
Which is still a long time.
Yeah. But I've had a couple of them driving Mike out. I ran into a heavy snowstorm in Colorado, so that took a little longer. This last trip took a long time. So there's some, it's been interesting trips with some of them,
And do you take it over the course of a couple of days, or do you just try to drive straight? Like, how do you break that up?
I try to drive straight.
Wow.
Yeah.
No way.
I don't know about now, but.
I mean, you were telling me that even on this trip you drove out here and you said it took like 35 hours?
35 hours, yeah. When the rain, sleet, snow, construction, and then we had a flat tire too. So.
My goodness. That is insane. That's quite a bit of mileage and some good stories on there.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And so, like, while you've done this and been able to watch all of your students grow, obviously you just mentioned the story of Micah being someone that trained till like 2 a.m. in the morning. Is there any other student that stood out to you as someone that was just fanatical about the amount of effort that they put in?
Oh, Matt Mullins.
Okay.
Yeah. Matt put in hours and hours. He trained every day at the school. He lived with me also. Okay. And Matt worked hard. Mike did too. Mike Chat did too. He most of them do train really hard. There's some that sort of excel. Those are the ones that they don't just do karate; they study their martial arts.
Yes.
Micah studies his stunts.
Yeah.
Those guys are all true students of the martial arts.
100%. And so obviously someone that's been in the martial arts as long as yourself, I know one thing that kind of came into it over the last, let's say 20 to 30 years is martial arts tricking and the advent of, these off-axis variations and vertical kicks and twists. Is that something that you were very receptive to in the beginning, or was that something difficult for you to implement having come from such a traditional style?
No, it wasn't really hard. I've always been open. I mean, even before all of this, if one of the guys wanted to go and do wushu somewhere,
Yes.
like Mike did. He wanted to take wushu from the Pak brothers.
Okay.
So I would facilitate him being able to attend classes with them. Oh. And I was always really open. If you want to go down the street and try their karate, you go try it, But I really feel that, even with your kids, you give them the wings and let them go, they'll fly back.
Yeah, 100%. And do you guys offer tricking at the studio currently right now, or is it something they have to do on the side?
We do. We have an extreme, we call it an XMA class for Mike.
Okay.
So it's an XMA class on the weekends.
Okay.
And it's all traditional throughout the week, though.
Ah, okay.
If you don't have the basics, you don't have anything.
100%. I agree with that. And so is the majority of your students right now, is it majority kids or adults, or is it a good split between?
Kids.
Wow.
Yeah. The adult classes have just dropped off immensely.
Wow. And what do you think that is a credit to that? Do you think it's the advent of things like MMA or other things?
Yeah.
Okay.
They can do the older guys can do the jiu-jitsu training and stuff like that. There's a jiu-jitsu school right down the way from me.
Okay.
And that's what they're looking for. Then I send them down there.
Wow. Okay. And so I was going to ask you, for someone that's also been around the circuit for so long, this is something I talk about with other individuals that have sat in the chair, and we've talked about competition. Where do you think the current state of competition is right now? I remember back when I was younger, some of these night shows were just insanely packed. And then I've gone to some NASCAR tournaments over the years, and it seems like, in my opinion, it's not as full as it has been. Have you seen any change in competition as well? Are you seeing a reinvention in the last couple of years?
The thing is probably when you were younger, it was full contact.
It's true.
So the full contact pulled in the crowds.
That's true, actually.
When you look at Diamond Nationals, who had a lot of full contact people, he would have a big crowd because he had full contact matches. Battle of Atlanta would fill that dome out there.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, 5,000 spectators.
Totally.
But you had ESPN, you had Wide World of Sports, so once that started to drop off, then the attendance to the nighttime finals started to drop off.
Wow. Okay.
We have a good one, but we don't have anything like that, 5,000, 6,000 people. I think the most we've had is like 3,000 at our finals.
Okay. And so with that being said, like you've had so many champions come through your studio, is competition something that you guys really push and herald at the studio, or is it something that the kids have to ask you to want to do?
They have to want to do it. They have to come in. We do local competitions.
Okay.
And then they get the bug, I really feel the competitions for me and the kids that stayed with me or I raised or, helped grow, it gave them an outlet, and it kept them away from the night basketball games, the football games, and it gave them a place to go other than the streets.
Yeah.
So whatever it cost is well worth it, So it's just crazy because you can help them grow that way.
Yeah.
Plus the competition helps them out here.
Yeah, totally, 100%. And so I know you also at one point, I don't know if are you still on the board of directors for NASCA?
Yeah.
Okay. And how did you get involved with NASCA? Was that just through your involvement with the AKA and running the tournaments?
Yeah, the AK Nationals, it was picked as one of the tournaments because Karate Illustrated originally had the ratings.
Okay.
And then they dropped off, and then we formulated NASCA.
Wow, okay. And so in your opinion right now, do you think that there will be a reinvention in the NASCA scene? Are you seeing that it's staying pretty stable with where it is now? I just haven't been to tournaments in the last 3-4 years, especially with COVID myself.
Yeah, the COVID thing really hit all of us hard. But coming back from COVID, we had a good crowd here in January.
Okay.
Compete was pretty good.
Yeah.
As far as the crowd, Battle of Atlanta was really good. We do a lot for our finals.
Yeah.
Because that's how we give back, and Hunter Lyon is really the one who runs the finals and puts together productions and all that kind of stuff.
And what's your current opinion on the state of martial arts competition as it goes right now? I know and if you don't want to say it publicly, you don't have to. We could skip the question, but I know there's some people that I've talked to in this chair that say, like, for some people they're kind of shocked that, for lack of a better term, some of the form. The way the forms are done have kind of stayed the same. It's almost been like the same formula. A lot of people say people just do a crossing pattern with a flip and then come back with another crossing pattern. But then I do know there's guys like Salif who's really been pushing the limits of trying to change the way that these forms are structured lately. Yeah. What have you seen over the years, and where do you think?
You'll see that to be a trend now.
Okay.
Micah sort of started it, and Micah trained Salif while he was there.
Yeah.
And I think you'll see the trend for it to start to switch. Salif was doing it last year and the year before, but nobody was getting it.
I was going to ask, did the judges comprehend it or no?
No.
Wow.
All I would get is, well, he doesn't have stances. Well, yeah, okay, try to do stances in an extreme form.
While you're doing transitions,
it doesn't
like
work.
Yeah.
So I think it's going to change now. And you're right. I mean, it was pretty much the same thing over and over. But the competition, if you look, the 14 to 17-year-old division, kids are just massive, and they're so good.
Yeah, it's pretty impressive. Actually, that's become one of the divisions to watch, especially as the adult competitions have a little less competitors these days. I feel like, that 14 to 17 has become the one to really, really see who's the next big star.
Oh, yeah. When Aiden came back after 5 years, because the only award he didn't get was the Warrior Cup.
Yeah.
And he wanted the Warrior Cup, and he said, I think I'm going to come back. So we worked for 3 or 4 months before the tournament, and but that division was massive. I'm glad I wasn't judging it. You really have to look for somebody to make a mistake and hope they do.
Yeah.
Because it was just, there's so many good kids now.
100%.
And then I would name them, but I'll forget somebody's name, and then I'll be in trouble.
Yes.
There's a lot of kids that aren't even on the team that I really like, and I love watching them.
And so after seeing so many world champions come through your own specific studio and obviously on Team EK itself, what do you think are the keys to success to breaking into that next level and being successful on the circuit?
Well, I think your instructor, number one, has to care about what he's doing, and he has to care about you. a lot of people don't have instructors now.
I was
They
gonna
have trainers.
Yeah, or they do private lessons with people.
Yeah.
And
Some of them do like 5 and 6 different private lessons and stuff. I'm not sure that's real conducive for long term.
Okay.
But for the short term competition, if you're just doing it for a sport, then I guess it's good.
Okay. And so what do you look for in competition, or I guess when you have students that you're helping trying to get to that next level in order to, help Aiden come back and win the Warrior Cup? What is it that you work on? Because I feel like at a certain level, they're all such high-level athletes. What do you really fine-tune in order to make him stand out?
You know what we do, and we try to make sure every move has an interpretation. Okay. What in our language would be bunkai. Okay, and every move needs to mean something, and you have an attacker that you can actually demonstrate those moves on.
Okay.
Micah was really big on that, and then you can actually see what you're doing. You look different because you look like you're in the fight, not just doing moves, and that's what we try to do with everybody that comes up.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. It does translate a little bit differently when you're not just doing like a choreographed routine, but it looks like you could actually execute the moves on someone.
Yeah. And most of their stuff is their own. They develop it. I look at it and either say, okay, go back and try it again, or I say that's good. Just tweak it this way. And we have a lot of collaboration through all the guys. If I need some help with Salif, I obviously call Micah. But anything else, whether it's kicks or something, I'll call Matt and get his opinion, call Mike, get his opinion, and we just all collaborate. That's how we stay together.
100%. And so how often do you find yourself still at the studio these days now? Are you still there normally when you're not in California? Are you still there
7 days a week.
7 days a week?
Yeah.
You guys have classes all 7 days?
We do.
Wow.
Yeah.
No way. And how many hours a day do you find yourself there? Are you guys there just in the evenings or?
Well, it's 10 to 12.
Wow.
10 in the morning till 12 at night or
No way.
whatever, yeah. We also have fighting classes there.
Okay.
They come in on Fridays and Saturdays and Sunday mornings.
Okay. And what do you find is your most popular program? Is it you obviously mentioned you had a lot of kids right now. Are most of them into the form side or the fighting side? Have you seen a change in that over
Most
the
of
years?
them are in the forms.
Really?
Yeah.
And I feel like back in the days it was more fighting,
It's
right?
the exact opposite. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what
My
my
school
parents
used
say.
to be when I was down in Moments, it was all fighting.
Yeah.
We did forms, obviously, but no, it's mainly forms now.
And what do you think made that switch? Do you have any insight into why that mentality has changed with people over the years? You laughed.
No, do I really want to say it?
Oh, maybe I'll say it for you.
A lot of it's all the entitlement, and everybody's a winner, and when you get out there and fight, you're not entitled to win.
Yes.
And way too protective. Parents are really protective of these kids.
Yeah.
And, he got a red eye. Yeah, well, sorry, it's called fighting.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's what my parents always say. Is,
Yeah.
They could not get away with anything that went down 20, 30 years ago back in training. Just even the training practices, they said. And my dad even used to do things like if you were late, he would lock the door. And he's like, nowadays you probably couldn't get away with it. People would complain and write Yelp reviews about you.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. You got to put up with it. I mean, even Steven will say, these kids are always late.
Yeah.
I'm like, well, number one, they don't drive.
Yeah.
They're 10 years old. So are you really going to punish them? We should give the parents push-ups when they come in.
Exactly.
But so we don't punish them anymore. Yeah, it was the same thing.
Okay.
I wouldn't dare be late for class.
Same.
Or you just didn't compete. You didn't participate.
Yeah.
Or you sat over on the side and watched everybody else.
And so have you had to find a balance between the traditional routes and the more contemporary routes as far as teaching is concerned? Or
Oh yeah, it's horrible.
Oh, wow.
It's horrible. I don't teach the massive classes anymore.
Okay.
I have my group that I take. I have a back room for private training.
Okay.
So I take my group into the back, and I do whatever I want.
Yes.
And if you don't like it, don't come into class.
Yeah.
They all stick with it. It's hard training. It's somewhat old, not quite old training, but it's you got to do it my way.
Yeah.
There's no, okay, you sort of got it. There's none of that. None. And I don't agree. I wouldn't do that with like Mike or Matt or Mike Chad or anybody. Sort of got it, doesn't make it.
Yeah.
You get it. Work till you get it.
Wow. That's amazing. And so I asked my mom this question because she still continues to train like 6 days a week herself.
Your mom is so cool too.
Thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate that. I know you mentioned earlier that, when you're gone, you're gone. Is the martial arts something that is a daily practice in your life? Is it something that you foresee yourself doing forever until the wheels fall off?
Yeah, I mean, most people just say that I'm weird, but I take martial arts very seriously, and I believe martial arts is my life, and my life is martial arts. So that's why I would never accept a 10th degree from anybody.
Wow.
John Ty tried to give it to me, and I'm like, no, John, no, not happening.
And why is that you refused it?
Because if martial arts is your life, when you stop learning? When you're dead.
Wow.
I'll take it when I'm dead.
Wow.
Because that's when I stop learning life. And if martial arts is life and life is martial arts, this is my outlook on it. I don't expect anybody to pick up on it. And nobody else has to do it that way. It's just my feeling.
Yeah. That's a very respectable opinion as well, because, as we know in this culture, there are a lot of studios that also just pass out black belts in a 1-year program. It's basically you just sign up and pay for your contract and you're going to get a black belt. Yeah. And so to hear someone like yourself that still won't accept that next degree for that reason is very admirable.
Yeah. I mean, I fought even like 9th degree for a long time and all that, and I'm like, all right, it doesn't mean anything. We don't wear stripes on our belt, any of the black belts. Rank just is not that important at the school, except for the mass.
Yeah.
They got to have a stripe.
Yes.
They got to have a new belt. But for any of my guys, there might be 2 or 3 of them out of all the black belts that I have that even put stripes on their belt.
Okay.
We just don't care about it.
Wow.
Doesn't mean anything.
Yeah. At a certain point, right?
Yeah. It's it's the knowledge you have. It's what's in your heart. It's not what's on your belt.
100%. And so at this point, how do you find yourself still continuing to learn through the journey? Is it through being exposed to other people? Do you still meet with other instructors and collaborate, or
my students?
Wow.
I learn from my students. When Mike was on the circuit and doing a lot of privates, I would sit and watch the privates.
Oh, okay.
Well, then of course they would tease me. Oh, you just can't get away from Mike, can you? Well, that wasn't the point. I was learning. Because all these guys have their own way of doing things. They had their own way of training. They have their own way of teaching. Mm-hmm. And if I can learn one thing from watching them for an hour, then I can use that.
Totally.
And it just adds to my complete arsenal of teaching methods.
Okay. And how is from someone that's been in the martial arts for so long, how is your body holding up through all these years of practice?
I'm good. I'm good, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Get a little hip problems, but...
that tends to be a common thing I've noticed from a lot of the masters.
Yeah. But, Dr. Dave Smith, he, a lot of guys know him. He's a really good chiropractor.
Wow.
And I asked him not too long ago, when am I going to have to get surgery? Like everybody else has.
Everyone's had replacements that I know.
Never. You keep doing these exercises, you'll be fine.
Wow. And so do you do any special, physical therapy or any cross training in addition to martial arts?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, okay. Absolutely. There's the stretches that he gives me, and I have one of the pre-core machines that I use every day and ride a bike, keep my legs strong. So,
okay. Wow, that's super awesome.
And I walk my dog twice every day, 45 minutes each.
Wow, that's a good amount of time.
Yeah.
Wow, that's crazy. Oh, I don't walk my dog that much. I feel bad now.
It's good exercise. I need to walk anyway. So
yeah,
it's good for him. It's good for me.
Amazing. And so this is one question that I have, and I don't know if you'll have a clear-cut answer on it, but from someone that's been able to have such a successful school for so many years, what do you think is the key to success to running a successful dojo and keeping it continuously, growing over the years?
Be consistent in your teaching, to care about your martial arts, and to care about your students. Even the white belt that comes in, you want to say, okay, I'm really going to teach this guy. I'm going to care about him and his martial arts. And I think that's a real. If I had to do a big seminar on it, it'd be very, very quick. Because I have one word: care.
Wow,
that's it. Care about what you're doing. Care about your martial arts. Care about the people.
I think that speaks volumes about you, but it's something that's easily visible from the outside because, like I mentioned, there's not too many instructors I know that drive out students of theirs across the country to help them make a move to pursue their career. And obviously you have a strong standing relationship with them to even begin with for that to happen.
Yeah.
And I think that is rare, especially in these commercialized karate days.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure. But I mean, those that have their eyes set on here, you know, they get a little special, a little special, you know, nudge once in a while, you know, because everybody's going to have that, you know, hey, you better get in here and train.
Yeah.
You know, California is not in your sights if you don't train.
Yeah, 100%. And now I ask this just because sometimes I have individuals in the chair, you know, like Aiden Kennedy, who just recently graduated high school. So he's not really able to answer this question just from life experience. But is there anything that you would have done differently over the course of your martial arts career, or anything that you think you've learned yourself that would have changed, you know, you would have changed over the years if you had a chance to?
For me personally, I probably would go out and learn more martial arts.
Wow. Okay.
Different styles.
Okay.
Because the boys all do that. And I'm perfectly fine with it. I'm not worried about, oh, they're not going to be my student. I ain't worried about that.
Yeah.
You know, my first black belt still comes to every event that we have.
Okay.
You know, and he got his black belt in '74 from the AKA board. But they, now I lost my train of thought.
You were saying you would go back and learn more martial arts if you could.
Yeah, that's what I would do.
Okay.
I would, you know, diversify myself so I could teach better. And these guys all do that. You know, Brendan Hure. I mean,
Yeah, you're right.
He knows so many different martial arts, and
He
you
does.
can recognize them just by the forms. And you know, Micah has studied a lot. Mike Chat has studied an enormous amount of martial arts.
Yeah, that's actually something that you're right, and it is funny because you know, even my dad back in the day, he said that there were some instructors he was able to get approval from, and others he kind of had to just keep it hush hush and just sneak out the back door and train with others on weekends and things like that. So.
There just wasn't that much available when I was younger, anyway. I mean, you know, there might have been 10 schools in the whole city of Chicago, maybe.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, and I wasn't even in the city, so I was an hour and a half south.
Wow. Now that makes a lot of sense. Yeah, it's very interesting to see. And so right now with the current studio that you have, and obviously the influx of kids coming over from Cobra Kai, I guess, you know, what are the goals that you have for the studio right now? Do you foresee yourself sticking in that location forever? Are you happy with where you guys have finally settled? Do you think
Forever for me, probably.
Wow.
You know, I mean, I think the lease is coming up in October, but, you know, if we sign another 10-year lease, then I don't know if I'll be able to fulfill that, you know. I'm not that young anymore.
You still look amazing. You look the same as always. It's insane to me every time I see you. You look exactly the same. Well, that's really cool. I was just curious because obviously I know that moving a studio is something that's very difficult.
Horrible.
It's one of the worst things ever.
Yeah.
And the fact that you withstood COVID and were able to survive is also a huge blessing.
Yeah, and that was all because of the help of these guys out here, or a lot of the students, not just these guys. You know, once they got wind that there was no classes, there was no money rolling in, then the old students, the old alumni, active and non-active, they really just started sending money.
Wow.
Yeah, and they financed the school all through 2020.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
That's a huge credit to you know, the relationships you have with them. That's something that I'm sure a lot of people wish that they had built, because I saw a lot of schools go down during this time period
A lot of schools closed.
for a lot of different reasons. And yeah, it was really sad to see some staples of our martial arts industry that had to close the doors, unfortunately.
Yeah, I thought that would be us, you know, but it wasn't. They all saved it.
Wow, that is super wild. And so obviously at this point right now, with where you're at and still running the school 7 days a week and things like that, is there anything else that you do for fun outside of martial arts, or is martial arts really your life, like you said?
That's it. Go out to eat. I do like to eat.
Okay.
Although I lost a lot of weight during 2020. You know, the anxiety and stuff like that, worrying about the school. And, you know, if I didn't have the school, what was I going to do? I've done this. I started teaching when I was 17.
Yeah.
Opened my school when I was 17.
Wow.
So I went to college a few times, but nothing I could actually work at.
Okay.
You know, and everybody's working at McDonald's, so I couldn't even get a job there.
Wow.
So what was I going to do? So the anxiety hit hard.
Totally.
Yeah, but we all came through it, and it's all good.
Okay.
My fun is at school.
Yeah. And so with all the students that you have that have now delved into the stunt industry, do you keep up to date and watch all the projects that they're in yourself?
I try to.
Okay.
Yeah, but half the time when I talk to them, I can't remember the name of what they're working on, you know. I got to ask them over and over, like, Sensei, You already asked me that. I'm like, yeah, I know, but I forgot because I just talked to the other guy 5 seconds afterwards, and he told me what he was doing. So
Yes. And so do you keep up to date, and do you still keep in contact with a lot of the students?
all the ones that are out here, yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's amazing. Do you guys just keep up via the phone, or how do you keep in touch?
I mean, during Zoom really came into play.
Okay.
You know, so we'll do a Zoom meeting or something. Those that want to jump in can do it, and you know that was interesting because we still have we have students out in the UK stuff.
Yeah.
So they also got involved in the Zoom classes, but yeah, we'll have a Zoom meeting with everybody just to get together and just talk, see what you're doing, what you're working on, things like that.
Super cool.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And so I got to ask, have you seen Cobra Kai yourself?
Oh yeah.
Oh, okay.
Oh yeah.
What do you think of it?
It's good. It's good storyline. It's
Yeah.
I don't know about the fighting in it, but I mean, it's not meant to be. It's not meant to be a NASCAR fighting thing,
Totally.
or it's a high school.
Yeah.
So I enjoyed it. I was down there for 2 weeks when the boys were filming.
Oh, that's awesome. You got to go when they were down there on set filming?
Yeah, I drove them down there.
Oh, that's awesome.
So I enjoy the show. I enjoy the storyline, and I hope it keeps going.
Yeah, same. It's pretty cool. It's cool to see an old generation martial arts movie reinvented, where the new generation is actually watching it.
Yeah.
It hasn't happened too many times in our lifetime, so it's cool to see, like we said, like this kind of fascination again with karate during a time when MMA and jiu-jitsu has been ruling the world for the last 10 years with the
Right.
UFC. So
Yeah, Karate Kid is probably one of my favorite movies. The very first one.
yes,
It really is because it tells such a great story, and I feel like it's somewhat my story with some of the boys.
okay. And so just as a martial artist in general, what advice would you give to someone that hasn't started their martial arts journey yet, or maybe is just getting into it? What words of advice would you have for them to continue to stick to it or take themselves to that next level?
Train hard, really dive into the martial arts and study. The kids that I have in the back, I'll have them, they'll write, they have to write essays for me, and, I'll pick a Shuri Castle, write about Shuri Castle, write about the Shotokan system, or, pick somebody and they have to write me some kind of a paper on that, but, I think work on your basics, basics are the foundation of everything you're doing, and you don't have a strong foundation, you don't have a house.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
No, that's super cool. And so I have to ask you this because I ask everyone that comes on the show. So where do you personally see yourself 5 years from now, and where do you see yourself 10 years from now?
Right at this karate school.
I was guessing that was going to be the answer,
Yeah.
but I just had to ask it just in case.
Yeah, at one point I was gonna move out here because a lot of my guys were out here already, and
Yeah.
I came out for a little bit, started to scope out the area, but they weren't here.
They were
They were
gone
all
filming.
traveling. I'm like, well, I'm not coming out here, and they're all gone all the time. So I decided to home base is Naperville, and if we want to get together, they can come back to Naperville.
Amazing.
They just don't have time.
Yeah, they're always working.
Yeah, right now especially. I mean, the industry is just really hopping.
It's crazy. And so for anyone that's listening that may be interested in it, are you guys still planning on having the AKA Nationals next year? And do you guys have any camps coming up later on this year?
Oh, yeah, we still have, I have my boot camp, which is my pet project,
Yes.
30 days.
Wow.
They live at the school, they wash their own clothes. You get to teach them how to wash clothes. Some of them don't know how to wash clothes, and we train probably 10 hours a day.
Wow.
Have different instructors come in, and I think that camp is running like 25 years, 26 years now.
It's famous. People know about the AKA camp.
Yeah. And then we have the summer camp and the winter camp.
Okay.
And the Warrior Cup, we'll go on. It'll be the end of January. It's already scheduled.
Okay. And how many, and if people are interested in attending those camps, how do they go about registering or applying to become a part of it?
You can go to akacamps.com. You can go to camps.com. You can go to akakarate.com.
Okay. And is there a
madaction.com. He has all the schedule. That's Hunter's deal.
And is there a maximum number of people that you take for each of those sessions?
Yeah, I like to keep the boot camp at 10.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And are they?
We're training hard, and it's a lot of people to feed for 30 days and to take care of. But actually, a lot of parents always want to bring in a meal. So we try to get different ethnic meals.
Yes.
Because we're pretty diverse there in that area. Yeah, usually we have more requests to do dinner than anything by the parents.
Amazing. That's super cool. And so with those camps, are they generally always full? Do you have people trying to get spots and you can't let them in just due to demand?
That does happen.
Wow.
I mean, the summer camp is pretty wide open.
Okay.
I think the biggest that we had that I didn't want it that way was 62. And I wasn't even at the large location, but they just kept coming. They just kept coming. They didn't sign up ahead of time. They didn't. I mean, I'm like, how am I going to feed all these people? But yeah, they just kept coming. But I don't like the camps to get really over 25.
Yeah.
Any of them.
So you could have more teacher-student ratio and have more hands-on.
Yeah, we have a lot of instructors that are there, whether they're traditional instructors or if Justin can come, Justin Chang, if he can come back in and help for a few days, or, Matt has come back in the beginning of them. He's too busy now.
Yes.
And got a family, so, Mike used to teach the camps.
Yeah.
So any of these guys that are out here that can, they'll come in. Brian Jansen, he comes in and helps a lot.
Wow.
Czar comes in a lot.
Yeah.
So, Czar's had, I think, his last 6 birthdays at our winter camp.
No way.
I think it was winter camp. I don't remember his birthday. He'll kill me, but
you had a lot to remember. A lot of birthdays to remember.
Yeah.
That's super cool. And more than anything, like I said, it's just a real big credit to everything you've done and contributed to see all these high-level students of yours make the move out to Los Angeles to pursue stunts and also become high-level stuntmen as well and successful in their careers. I know, like you stressed this entire interview, foundation is something that's so instrumental to it. And I know that you've been a huge part of each of their lives to the point that they've all been hounding me asking when I was going to get you on here. So I appreciate you making the time, and thanks more than anything for just building up these young men into incredible adults and, individuals that have just, strong martial arts backgrounds, but they're also just men of good character. I most recently had Justin Chang assist me on my fight workshops for 3 weeks. Right. And, he just got the call last minute and just jumped right in, and I was able to just trust him because I know the foundation he has, and I know where he was raised, and I know the values that he shared coming from you.
And they're all, for the most part, they're all like that.
Yeah.
They're all reliable. They're all, hands-on, jump in, help out. Matt, when he was running the sideswipe, when he had the sideswipe thing and started that, it was always, the dressing room was cleaner than when we got there.
Wow.
And people would acknowledge that. Even some of the kids I still have back, we were at a tournament and they were just picking up stuff, and these janitor ladies like, the kids are so nice, they're cleaning up. Yeah, that's what they're supposed to do.
Yes.
And when I noticed that, I said, okay, there's a possible California kid.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Well, like I said, thank you so much for making the time to come on here. I know you're out here doing a lot and on vacation, for lack of a better term. So thanks for making the time, and thanks for everything you've done contributing to the martial arts. Like I said, I've been a fan and a follower for a long time of not only yourself, but all your students that have come through the ranks and obviously through the Team AKA and through the Warrior Cup. So I appreciate everything you've done. And on behalf of myself and the community, we're really grateful for all that you've done for the martial arts community.
Well, thank you. And credits to your family. You guys have done a great job out here, providing a place for these kids to train and be a part of. And what you guys do here is just amazing.
Thank you. I appreciate that. You're always welcome. Anytime you make the long journey and the drive, feel free to stop in anytime.
I think it'll be August when Salif comes out.
Wow. I was going to ask if he's next.
Yeah,
so.
He's next. Well,
wow.
him and Aiden should have came out together.
Yes.
But then Aiden got the call. Aiden hasn't actually graduated yet.
Yes.
So he got the call, and we're like, well, they're not going to take you. You're 17. And, but they did. They said, Friday, you start filming on Tuesday.
Wow.
We're like, oh, my God. We are not ready.
Wow.
So he jumped on the plane, came out, and was having a great time, learning a lot.
And now next, Salif Solis.
Salif will be next, yeah.
Wow. Super cool. Well, I'll look forward to seeing you on that trip. Feel free to come by and stop in anytime.
Yeah. If you're here.
And bring the dog.
And bring the dog.
Bring the dog as always. I appreciate it, Sensei. Before we get out of here, do you mind just looking into that camera and just let people know where they can continue to follow you or the studio if you want to shout out the website or anything about the gym? And we'll be sure to put it on the screen so people can look up more info.
You can find out most information from akakarate.com, sharkeyskarate.com. Camps are all listed there. a lot of the information on events and things like that are at madaction.com.
Amazing. With that being said, guys, please be sure to hit that like button, comment, subscribe for brand episodes each and every week. Join us every Monday for jam breakdowns and every Friday for brand new JAMCast, interviewing influential members of the movie community like Sensei Sharkey himself. So with that being said, guys, I got to give one more very special shout out. Thanks for coming through, Sensei. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.
And as always, guys, coming through, I'm your host, Travis Wong. Thanks for joining us here on another JAMCast. Until next time, we'll see you all soon. Peace.